So I've served the Rome as a soldier for about 10 years. The last 5 is in a place, what we like to call the armpit of the empire. That is a polite term for what it actually is. A disgusting place, this Palestine. You know, most of the people that were over, they learned to give in to Roman rule. We allow them their own gods. They don't interfere for us. And in turn, they actually benefit. They have peace in their land. Trade increases, but not here. These Jews, they whine, they complain. They have the audacity to look at us and call us unclean. All of their festivals and religious gatherings are really just an excuse for them to get together and riot and complain. You know, they're thirsting for some type of military leader who they call a Messiah, who will one day free them from the most powerful empire. I love to see these country folk with all of their spears and, you know, with their single god, stage an uprising against Rome. If they were to do that, they'd really find out what oppression is. By the time Governor Pilate finished pandering to all these different priests who brought in this Jesus of Nazareth, my patrol were just disgusted. And I'll tell you what, when Pilate told us to flog the prisoner who claimed to be this king who will overthrow us, we couldn't believe our luck. We now had an object that we could vent our anger and frustration at. My buddy Brutus, he was the man for the task here. He has a particular set of skills with the cat of nine tails. It's where you get leather with little bits of bone and glass that are embedded in it. And you whip somebody, but see, the way you whip somebody is you allow these strips of leather to stick to the flesh. And then when you pull, you actually rip hunks of flesh off. He's an artist. And we were told to flog this Jesus. We were told not to kill him, but just to get him close. So we stripped Jesus down, gave him 39 of these lashes, each one more brutal than the last. And we were really hoping that his moans would get louder and louder. Most of our victims will beg for mercy just after a couple. Jesus was, he was different because his agony was obvious, right? It showed on his face. He was in pain. You know, there was entire sections of his body where there was no more skin. But what was interesting is that there was no hate or this defiance in his eyes. It was as if no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't crack that nut. It was like something I'd never seen before. So finally, when Brutus finished, all he could do was just look at Jesus and shake his head. After a while, he just dropped the whip. There was another buddy of mine, Quintus, who had an idea, and he got a red tunic that he found, threw it around him, and we started mocking him, saying, hey, a garment fit for a king. So we took all the clothes off his body, and we found a thorn bush, and I actually twisted the the crown of thorns and put it up on his head, pushing his thorn into his scalp until blood ran down his face. Got a long, straight stick and used it as a scepter. And as we were mocking him, we all knelt before him, right? Hey, O King of the Jews, and I chose to spit at him like I was pretending to give him a royal kiss. We all just continued to punch him, our hands getting bloody from his blood. But no matter what we did, he did not have an act of defiance. He didn't resist. Despite how disfigured he was, he looked at you with those eyes and would make eye contact with you. I've gotten good at reading people's eyes, and his eyes were one of gentleness. He looked past all of his pain right at me. You know, it was this look, as he looked right at me, without hatred, without malice. That's what really affected me. It wasn't the blood and the guts. I'm used to that. It was Jesus looking at me without anger or resentment. Almost this patience waiting for me to be done. I was thankful that my commander, Marius, said, "All right, guys, party's over. Get him ready." And as he stood up, Jesus continued to follow every order without any resistance. Kind of the way like you would lead like an animal, like a lamb to be sacrificed, just resigned and moving forward. One of them motioned to me and said, "Lucius, hey, help me here, tie his robe." And, I think just 5 minutes ago, I would have cinched the cord tightly around his waist, not really caring about the hunks of skin in his flesh, right, as I twisted this robe on him. But now I found myself having to be gentle. We let him out of the room. And as he was faltering, he was having difficulty walking, but as he was walking, it was like he knew where he was going. Like there was a purpose for his walk. He wasn't just wandering. He was going somewhere. Why didn't he do what everyone else did, which was resist? Why didn't he protest? Why didn't he try to strike back? I had this feeling, almost as if I was a pawn in someone else's game, that there was something else happening that I really wasn't aware of. That this wasn't an accident, that maybe the flogging, the mocking, the beating, Jesus's silence wasn't an accident.